Dave.
Good evening. Good evening. How
Good
are you, Big
evening.
A?
How are you, mate? You're not
Well,
well, as I understand it.
not, not very good. Not very good. Um, it's been a tough week on
It's
many
been
fronts.
on
Yeah,
many fronts.
I have.
That sounds like not. Do you want to tell the viewers about it, or do you
I
want
don't know. It's been
to?
a tough. We, we acquired the dreaded man flu, the dreaded winter flu.
hmm
That's the type of thing that we should be locking down the whole world for, I reckon. Shut schools, shut shut stores, shut cinemas, shut gyms.
especially man flu, right?
Oh God, yeah. Um,
So
yeah, I was suffering badly, but then it doesn't end there. 5 o'clock in the morning, my beautiful wife Joanne wakes up. It was about 4:30 actually, or she was probably up at 4. Put up with this horrible abdominal pain for about half an hour, and then woke me up and said, "Dave, something's not right." And I just went back to sleep. I thought I was probably mumbled something, and and then I hear her in the ensuite sort of trying to, you know, uh, dry reach or vomit. Nothing's coming out, and I said, "Oh, okay. Well, I did spend a fair bit of my time examining abdomens as a general surgical registrar. I better have a little look." And wow, I lay her down on the bed and just went through a little abdominal examination, and she was so sore. What is going on here? Like, she's healthy. This is not right. So it wasn't too much longer, and we made the call that, it's 5 o'clock in the morning, but we've got to get to an emergency department. And we got in there. She was needing morphine analgesia. That was not touching it, not touching it. And then she had an urgent CT scan, like at about 6 o'clock in the morning.
fuck wow.
CT scan of her belly, and that showed what they called a closed loop obstruction, where a bit of the bowel gets tangled up around itself. It's just a freak thing. It could happen to anyone, but it's pretty rare in
How does
adults.
it happen? Like how does that just?
Children more often. Like, it's a well recognized surgical problem in children, because just the anatomy in the bowel hasn't developed entirely, and it's more redundant, and it can sort of tangle up, or even what they call intercept, where the bowel swallows
Mm,
itself, and that's called interception. So this is the same kind of thing, and there's just intra-abdominal little bands that everyone has. But
yeah, yeah.
good old Joey,
It's
she's done a good
crazy.
job. She's actually basically thrown a little bit of a yo-yo loop, a yo-yo loop around this band,
Oh,
and
that's great.
and
Was it
uh,
the Olympic lifting that we did the night before?
nah, 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 nah.
No.
And managed. It's just a freak thing, and managed to cause a gut ischemia. Just a freak
And
gut
do you know,
ischemia.
I want to tell everyone that's listening and will listen in the future, Dave's focus was, I got a text message from Dave saying, "Hey, do you want to train on Sunday morning? Didn't go to Nungi, so I'm here, and oh yeah, Joe went to emergency surgery." And I was like, "What?" So I rang up and like, Dave, I think that part was probably the first part of the story that you should have told. But it
Oh, we
was
wanted
good to
you.
see
I
it.
wanted to
It's
get
good to
straight to
see
the
your
point.
focus.
I
Good
needed
to
to
see
know
your
whether I had a
focus was on the
training.
training, right?
I needed to know whether we had a training partner for Sunday. I could fill you in on the other minutiae later.
So,
So Jojo had surgery at 9 o'clock, and then came out of surgery, and the surgeon said, you did the right thing. This part of the bowel was going to basically die, and infarct. That's the word, ischemia. And then you have to do a bowel resection, and then you have to have a bag, and all those horrible things and then try to get the bowel back together. If it can't be primarily closed at the time of surgery, you have to have a bag. What
yeah,
a defunctioning stoma bag.
far out.
So my man flu. The moral of the story is my man flu was disregarded.
But you got your man flu after the
No sympathy. I was
operation, right?
starting to feel sick then, I reckon. Um, and then we went and trained. Um, we went and trained
Sunday.
on Sunday. We did our heavy a heavy lifting session. And then what was that? Did we do a Metcon? We did a Metcon too, didn't we? Yeah,
We
yeah, we
did
did
the deadlifts,
the
cleans, toaster bar, and
yeah,
pull-ups.
cleans toast bar.
Yeah.
So that was it. And so I've just been working away. I couldn't cancel clinics. I had to I had like the full clinic. So with the man flu, I just rang all the patients up and said, I've got the man flu. And they go, oh, that's terrible. That's terrible. I'm not coming in anywhere near. So we did all the clinic virtually online, like, Zoom, and
Oh, did you really?
did the whole clinic. There was one or two patients that came in that insisted on coming in, and we did them in person. But everyone else was via Google Meets, and it worked really
Cool.
well. It was good. It was a good
Awesome.
clinic. I really, despite being unwell, I really had it was really enjoyable week of consulting.
Oh, okay. So maybe
Yeah.
that's a way you can consult. You can
Oh, you can
consult
do
from
that for
home
sure. Yeah.
occasionally.
Oh well, we did it for
So
3 years almost. Yeah.
yeah, well,
Well,
you've got plenty of practice. So who's today's
yeah.
guest, Dave?
Well, should we bring a guest onto the stage?
Absolutely. Let's bring on Declan. G'day, Declan. How you going, mate?
Good evening, guys. How are we?
Welcome
We
to the
are
show,
good.
Declan.
It's a pleasure to be here, and sorry to hear about your man flu there, Dave.
Yeah, not. Joe's fine. Joe's fine. Don't worry about it. Yeah, no. Thanks for coming on board. Welcome to the show. You got all the professional gear there. I see you got your studio level headset there, and
Yeah,
mic.
I try to look the part. I'm what is it? All the gear, no idea type of guy. So
Done a few podcasts before, I'd imagine.
I've done a couple. Yeah. I haven't. I actually did one 2 days ago for talking in the hybrid space, which was really cool. And obviously met Anthony a few weeks back up at Ivory's Rock at our Spartan event, and he was like, "I'd love to get you on the podcast." So I was like, "Sure, why not? Love to talk CrossFit and everything else in between." So,
have you heard of the podcast before or not?
No, I hadn't, to be honest. No, I hadn't been. To be honest, I don't sort of take in too many podcasts myself. I'm a fairly busy man, but when I do, funny enough, one of the ones that I do watch is a CrossFit podcast, which is that Savan Matosian's podcast.
Oh, you watch a bit of Savan?
Yeah. Watch a bit of his stuff. It's funny. I've watched him since he did Killing the Fat Man back in the day. So
yes.
that series that he did, and and so I sort of check in every now and again and watch some of his stuff. So
He's hard to watch now because there's so many different factions. Like you've got he's taken probably 5 or so different people, and they're all under the Savan kind of grouping now. So when I look at the podcast, I'm like, which one do I actually want to listen to?
Yeah,
I always listen to the Castro week in review one. I think that's always the funny one for me.
Yeah, I like checking them out.
Review of the week in review. I was thinking. I said to Anthony, we should do a review of Savan's review of the review.
That's it.
Just take it to another level with our own little slant. But the camp podcast CrossFit affiliate members, obviously we're pretty heavily into the CrossFit space, and we just love talking about CrossFit and all things health and fitness. And so there was very little Australian based shows, channels, YouTube channels like this, long format where you can sit down and talk to people, just deep dive into their stories. Like I hate Instagram stories, 1 minute, 2 minutes. You can't. Your attention span surely has got to be longer than 90 seconds or 60 seconds.
Yeah,
but that's what people want these days.
I think and it's funny. I'm a big long format type of guy as well. So if I'm going to watch something, I want to watch it for a good 15, sort of 20 minutes, and sort of escape the world for a little bit and get immersed in it. But it's there's definitely not enough of it down here in Australia, and I think that's something I sort of spoke with Anthony previously. That I think we've always been the sort of forgotten about land especially with a lot of the big events and sporting type of, even across, with CrossFit, even now with High Rocks and obviously DEKA, Spartan, like all these events are, there's so much on the calendar but still there's not too much media in the space that are actually covering those events. So it's like just a couple of handfuls, and so
it's all done out of passion, isn't it? People are doing it out of passion. No one's getting paid to do this. And even Savan says that, like, he's the biggest media platform for CrossFit, really, and he's not even on the payroll. He's not even an employee.
No, exactly right.
It's crazy,
Him
and his posse. But
him and his posse, yeah. What is it? Andrew Hiller. He seems to.
He
seems to ruffle a few feathers and stuff, which is always nice to. I like watching his content. He puts out some great stuff.
Yeah. Well, if you're really passionate about the sport, you want to see it from all angles, right? And then you go to the morning chalk up, and you go to Brian Friend, and you see their angle. It's very polarized.
Yeah, definitely.
And then,
but that's what brings the viewers, that confrontation, that conflict, that what's going on. That's how you get views, by the sound of things. That's what my son keeps saying. So Dave, my son has said that you and I need to have a brawl on here, which will bring more viewers, right? So
okay, yeah. Was that Noah's idea?
No, that's Josh's idea. That's Josh's idea is that you and I need to have a fight. Sell tickets.
Have a big disagreement. Well, Declan, tell us a little bit about. You've seen a couple of the promo vids. Did you see our promo vid the other day?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
On the YouTube, and then I think I just put one on this afternoon, just a short one, just at the last minute when I finished up my clinic, and I thought, oh shit, I better do one of those short ones, the 60-second ones, about what we were going to talk about, and obviously Spartan and DEKA. I'm sort of a bit confused about all the terminology and the sort of layers of competition. But tell us a little bit about yourself, Declan, because you personally have a very interesting background too, transforming health.
Yeah, so obviously, like most Aussie kids, I grew up playing, sport and football and like that AFL, I guess, because you guys are up north, you might.
Where are you? Are you in Melbourne?
I'm down in Melbourne. Yeah, so just outside of Melbourne.
Okay.
Yeah, right. So down south. Originally was born in Brisbane, actually, and then moved down here when I was 3. So I'm a Maroons boy at heart. But so it's but yeah, my backstory is that obviously got into the workforce and did a lot of travel in my sort of early 20s, and then from there ended up actually getting into farming. So that's where the Farmer Fit name come from.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah. When you say farming, were you like a primary producer? What did you run your own farm or work on a farm?
Yeah, so I had 5 acres, and I would grow mixed crops, and I would do a weekly veggie box. And this was going back now, sort of 2015 to sort of 2018. So I did it for about 3 years, and ended up feeding roughly around about 40 to 50 families each week with a box of goodies of organic produce. And so a lot of my time, obviously I was still working full time at my day job, and then I would do that part time weekends and after hours. And through that, I guess I convinced myself.
What was your day job?
So I worked in the health sector. I was a courier, so I used to go and pick up all the blood and every bits and pieces of body parts and that for testing. But and then so from there, I sort of thought, I guess I kind of maybe just taught myself that I thought I was still keeping fit because I was doing all this farm work, but realistically I sort of let myself go and sort of wasn't eating the best, and ended up getting up to like 100 and close to like 110 kilos in weight, and I'm only a short fellow, 171 or 2 centimeters. So
you weren't vegetarian or anything silly like that?
Nah, I didn't do anything like that. No, big meat eater. But yeah, just put all this weight on, and then funny enough, my old trainer, so who I'd trained with since I was 16 up until probably I was 25, I hadn't seen him for a good sort of 10 or so years, maybe even close to 15 years. And then I bumped into him walking down the street here in Flemington, here just outside of Melbourne. And at that stage, I actually had a big beard. I was growing a big, massive beard and was looking the part like a farmer. And he sort of walked past me and he's like, Declan, is that you? And I went, yeah, it is, mate. He goes, geez, you've turned into a fat prick. Like, that's what he literally, what he said to me. He goes, I didn't recognize you. And I sort of went, yeah, mate.
No holding back.
Yeah. And so he literally just sort of ribbed into me. And that was the type of relationship we had. And it was funny. It was the same week that we ended up having me and my wife were going through some fertility issues. And so we started to actually go down the road of seeking a specialist. And we had our first meeting with the specialist and some of the normal questions, do you smoke? I don't smoke. I actually don't drink alcohol. And then she goes, oh, do you exercise? And I said, no, I haven't probably exercised for a good sort of 10 years or so. And then she sort of said, well, that could be one of the causing factors, your weight, So in the 1 week, I sort of copped it from all fronts, from, a specialist telling me that I was overweight and needed to lose some weight, and then my old fitness trainer. So from there, I decided to. So if you keep going all the way down, you'll be able to
just looking for seeing if there's any sneak peeks of you in your less athletic state.
Yeah, you probably have to scroll down. It's been a couple of years. There's a little bit there. So.
Looking pretty strong there, but probably.
But yeah, it was kind of
no, that's not
no. So keep going.
Right down. Yep.
But it was kind of funny. So that trainer friend of mine, Vince, obviously owned a gym, Elite Training, and he literally just said to me on the spot, all right, tomorrow I want you here at 12 o'clock in your lunch break, and we're going to get training again. And I said, okay, mate, that sounds good. I'm all for it. And then from there, we sort of started training, and then I just stumbled across the website, bodybuilding.com, and I found a transformation challenge that they had going on at the time, which was called the 250K challenge. And it was literally whoever could have the best transformation won $100,000. And it was obviously run out of the US. And I sort of jokingly was waiting in the car park when I found the website, and I started seeing all the before and after photos, and then ended up sort of taking my phone up to Vince, the trainer. I said, hey, do you reckon you could make me look like this guy in 12 weeks? And he just scoffed and said, mate, I'd make you look twice as good as he would. And we sort of just joked about it. And then this is about probably 2 or 3 months after we'd started seeing the fertility specialist. And so we'd gone back, and then we'd done some tests, and they sort of come back and said, look, you guys might have to go down, the road of IVF. And so then that sort of hit us pretty hard, and we were like, geez, financially, I don't know if we could do that. And then again, I think serendipity or, coincidence, the challenge showed up on my feed again, and they said they were about to open up sign-ups for it. So I then went back to Vince and said, all right, mate, I'm not going to tell anyone else this, but I want to try and enter this competition, and I want you to help me. And he said, mate, if you give me 12 weeks and listen to everything I'll do or say, and you do it, then I think we've got a good chance of winning this. And I didn't tell him anything about the IVF or anything like that. That was my reasoning and my goals to do it. And then went on the journey to try and win the challenge, and was successful enough to actually take out top spot. And
in 12 weeks, you were able to win that.
$100,000,
$100,000 US.
Yeah, wow, and it was it was the first time that anyone outside of the US had actually won the challenge. So it was quite an experience, and something that I obviously kickstarted my journey back into health and fitness. And then from there, I ended up finding Spartan. So after I won the challenge, Vince said
they don't have anything to do with Spartan, do they? The bodybuilding.com.
No, nothing at all. But it was more unrelated. So it was more so around that Vince said, look, the best thing to have is always have a bit of a goal on the calendar. So why not get yourself into a Spartan race? So we put that on the calendar and started training.
So that was just a random thing that your mate said, let's just do a Spartan thing.
Yeah. So he just said, he goes,
after you'd won this thing. Why do they call it bodybuilding 250? What's the 250?
So the 250K, so there's $100,000 for both the male and female, so 200,000, and the 50K is they have 5 10K prizes off that. So it was quite an amazing 12 weeks.
And they came out. They came out to your.
If you click that video in the center, that's probably
the second one, isn't it?
Yeah, that one here. So if you scroll across, you'll probably see a bit more.
That's them. That's them coming out to Melbourne.
So this is them surprising me. Yeah. So they
We're here waiting. Declan is working out upstairs, and his family is showing up. No one has any idea what's happening, and we're gonna inform them and then go up there and surprise them.
I'm already gonna cry.
That's your missus.
That's my wife. Yeah.
Amazing, like absolutely amazing. Sorry, I'm so emotional.
So are they a let me guess, like a supplement manufacturer?
So they started with their own supplements, and they carry all the other brands as well, like that. So pretty much before Amazon come along, they were the big top dog in the space.
Right. So they've got a
got to swipe, Dave.
You didn't know what's going on here. You're just doing some.
I had no idea. I was stretching out, and
I want to swear my head off right now. Declan McGovern, you are the 2018 bodybuilding.com 250K Transformation Challenge winner.
Wow, how did that feel, mate? You just someone.
It was kind of surreal. To be honest, it was one of those things when I decided to go for it. I just had a feeling that I had a real good chance at it. I knew Vince was going to be able to get me into shape. He'd worked miracles for a long time with a lot of people in the obviously bodybuilding space.
That's a pretty massive transformation, though, Declan. Like to see the picture before and after, like in 12 weeks, like. You must have been absolutely hammering it.
How much weight have you lost? I didn't see it before.
So I went from so when I started the challenge, I was at 104 and then got down to 72 in the 12 weeks. So
104.
So you lost 72. You lost 32 kilos.
Yeah, so it was
in 12 weeks. So 3 kilos a week.
Yeah, and it was one of those things where, and it was interesting. I was so just whatever, as I said, when Vince said whatever I had to do, I just did. And it was one of the things I remember most was I had to weigh everything. So all my food was weighed, and and at the start I was eating, like massive big plates of salads and meats and everything. And it was almost too much. I remember messaging him saying, "Hey mate, I can't eat this amount of food." Like he goes, no, I need you to get them in. Like I need you to eat this food. Like I know it's, the calories at that stage, I think were maybe 2,000 calories that I was eating, but it was all clean, no sauces and all that sort of stuff.
Is that still less calories than you were eating before the challenge when you're at your worst?
Yeah, so I was probably at my worst. I was probably eating maybe 3,000, 3.5, probably at some. So it was a significant calorie drop. Yeah, and I ended up obviously over that time, the 12 weeks, like it gradually would go down, and then I got down to like I think the last week or so, I was eating like just before I did the after photo was like eating. I think it was like 500 calories for 2 days, and then had the big carb load the night before the photo shoot, and just sort of filled out. And it was for me, it was actually a really cool experience in that sense, like actually doing, I guess, something so dedicated and strict and following whatever Vince told me to do. And I remember one of the things was when I was weighing everything, I remember I was allowed to have, like, one of the treats I was allowed to have was some peanut butter. So I was allowed to have, I think, say if it was 15 grams of peanut butter. And normally, you'd weigh out the 15 grams, and then I'd look at the spoon, and you'd normally lick the spoon and then throw it in the dishwasher. And I remember like consciously going, if I lick this spoon, it's probably going to be about 18 grams. So I better not. And like beforehand, like the old me would have just been licking, probably had a few more spoonfuls as I was going. So, but yeah, it was quite an amazing, feat. And I think it was funny. I had done, when I'd done the challenge, I actually was the first one to actually document every single day. So I actually created a video, and I popped it up on YouTube and up on Instagram. Obviously back then the Instagram videos are only allowed to be 60 seconds long. So you had to share about 3 or 4 different videos. And so I would share what I was eating. I would share how I was feeling. And I think when they came down to choosing the winner, I probably didn't have the most amazing transformation. There was other guys that probably looked like maybe a bit bigger or musclier, but because I'd shared my journey, and I think a lot of the community sort of had come along on the journey with me, they sort of turned around and just said, look, what you've done is absolutely amazing. And because you've shared the journey and your transformation was so it was actually so amazing, we couldn't not give it to you. So.
Oh, well deserved. What was harder, was it the physical training, or do you think the dietary change, the dietary alteration in habits? Was that
the start was definitely the training. Like I remember the first session we did literally lasted, I think, 8 minutes. And I remember the workout, he had some hurdles, and like the hurdle, it was funny. One of the hurdles was literally like that high, and I had to just jump over, both feet had to go over the hurdles. And then the other one went up a little bit higher. And I had to do that, and then I had to do sprints. And I remember every time I got to I just had no confidence, and I was like, I'm gonna wreck myself on these hurdles here. And the big timber hurdles, ended up doing, I think around the 3rd lap, I ended up taking a massive big chunk out of my shin because I couldn't get over it. And then I started feeling sick, and just I was sitting there going, what have I got myself into? Here I am. And it was a real moment of, don't ever let yourself get back to this point, because, you've literally done like 60 seconds of work and you feel like you're about to have a heart attack. So, it was kind of really eye-opening.
Let's have a look a bit more.
Right, folks, so this will be day 1.
Day 1.
With Vinny for the Transformation Challenge. I've weighed in this morning, got all my pictures, done all that stuff, so that's all been uploaded.
So I wish you the best, mate, and let's get you started.
12 weeks of hell.
So did you share a bit of the winnings with Vince?
Actually, I did cut him a check. So
good on you.
I was able to. Yeah, which was nice. He at the time he just had bought a house, so he was able to go and buy a few pieces of furniture, I think, with it, which was good.
And did you get your second baby?
Yeah, so that was the I guess the icing on the cake was when we sort of further on down in the video, but the guys asked they asked.
Everyone says, it's going to take a lot of hard work. Yeah. It's not easy. 100 grand. What are you going to spend? For us, we went to the doctors, me and my wife. We've obviously got a beautiful son, River, 2 years old, but we've been trying to have another child, and we've been having miscarriage after miscarriage. For us, the money's going to go on IVF. So we're at a situation now where we've had so many miscarriages that our doctors are saying that we're probably better off going down IVF. So by winning that money, it allows us the chance to hopefully have another child, and that's pretty special.
Pretty emotional there, Declan.
Yeah, it sort of was. That was the moment really hit me that because I hadn't told anyone. So I hadn't told anyone my reasoning besides just wanting to get fit and healthy again. But the real driving force was that I knew that was probably going to be the only chance that we'd probably be able to go down the IVF road is if I'd won that money. And so when they asked that question, and it was interesting because they said, like, after they cut the camera, they're like, we're normally expecting to hear you're going to buy a motorbike or you're going to go on a holiday or you're going to, we don't expect anyone to say we're going to have to try and, bring a child into the world for IVF. So it ended up.
They probably just went, thank God we chose you as the winner.
Yeah, exactly.
It's such a real emotion, not
it definitely
bullshit
was.
material. I want a motorbike. No, I want another child. That's a pretty powerful message.
And so, and in the end, as you asked, Dave, we did end up ended up going down the IVF route and ended up having a beautiful, healthy boy named Hendrix, who's now coming up to almost he'll be 5. He's so he's it's quite amazing, and it's funny every time, obviously on Facebook, that video sort of rolls around in my memories, and that like it just shows that, you know, how it was all worth it. Like it was literally, you know, when I get to put Hendrix in my arms, and it's quite amazing.
It's so cool.
That's great. That's pretty cool. And so,
but it seems to.
Sorry, I think
it seems to have put you on a different path as well. Like, I mean, obviously, I think you're no longer carrying blood and bits of body around. You're in the fitness space, right? So
so from there I went and obviously as I said, started with doing Spartans, and then from there ended up becoming a personal trainer, and ended up working with Vince for a good couple of years there at his gym, and really sort of found my sort of foot in my passion with what I love doing, and that's obviously helping other people. And that was the main reason why I wanted to share the journey, was because I wanted to just show that, you know, you don't have to be blessed or gifted with genetics. You know, if you put in the hard work, and anyone from any stage of their life can get up off that couch and give it a go. So, and then from there ended up, you know, sort of falling into, I guess, the job I'm in now with Spartan and running DEKA. It was a bit of a story that one of my clients at the gym that we worked at, we're at the coffee machine, and funny enough, we were chatting about, you know, trying to get the license for another event in the space, and we'd sort of missed out on that. And then our client at the time sort of picked up and said, "Oh, what are you guys talking about?" And we said, "Oh, we're trying to get a license to host some events down here in Australia that are going gangbusters overseas." And he said, "Oh, well, if you want, I can introduce you to the guys at Spartan. They've got a similar type of event, and it's called DEKA." And at that stage, it was sort of obviously it was middle of sort of COVID, and the Spartan games were happening on the TV or on YouTube at the time, and so I was consuming a lot of that sort of stuff. And I was like, actually, this could be something pretty cool. And then it ended up being where Rob, who was the guy that was at the gym, the client, who said, "Oh, I'll go and speak to the Spartan owner," and then from that he ended up buying the company himself, and then employed me and put me in as the director of sport here in Australia for DEKA.
Wow.
So is DEKA an offshoot of Spartan that's purely
how it works? So Spartans has a fair few brands in its stable. So obviously OCR Spartan, which was the original brand, which is obviously obstacle.
That's still owned by Joe DeCena.
Joe DeCena, so Joe DeCena, is the one that owns that. And then off that, there's been a few other brands. So obviously, just before COVID, he ended up purchasing Tough Mudder. So he bought Tough Mudder. They actually were about to go into liquidation, and he sort of came in at the last minute and saved them from going under, and bought them out. And then from there, they launched DEKA. So obviously Spartan and Tough Mudder are obstacle course racing. And then DEKA is a functional fitness sport. So, but with that, we have not only the I guess the event side of it in our big events that we do, you know, in a similar vein as sort of High Rocks. We also have an affiliate program. So we have a real grassroots level where we bring those events into a smaller gym atmosphere, and it's like 50 to 80 athletes competing at your local gym, but getting the same experience of doing it out on a big stage somewhere, and still being able to qualify through our world champ events at those local gym events. So it's a kind of cool little pathway.
Right.
So how many DEKA events are there? Like how many? Like because there's DEKA Strong.
Yeah, so there's 3 different, or there's actually 4 now events that we've got, but the primary ones are what we call a DEKA Strong, which is the 10 zones, functional movements like rowing, skiing, box step overs, med ball sit-ups, farmers carry, calories on the air bike, a sled push and pull, and then obviously burpees with a ram. So that's just literally getting through those 10 zones as quick as you can, super fast. And then from there, we've got a DEKA mile, which is a 160-meter run before each of the zones. And that's accumulatively, you run in a mile. And then we have what we call our sort of Super Bowl of fitness, the DEKA Fit. That's where you do a 500-meter run before each of the zones. So end up running 5K. And then we've introduced this year a new product, and it's probably right up your alley. And I know you guys gave it a crack there.
We did it the other day, DEKA ATLAS.
Yeah, DEKA ATLAS. And Yancey Kulp, who's one of the co-creators of DEKA, he sort of saw there was a bit of a space in the DEKA brand market where his big focus when he created DEKA, especially with the mile fit and the strong, was he wanted to build a fitness test that could be utilized by everyone, not just the 1%, superhuman cyborgs. He wanted the 99% of people that are going to a gym who maybe don't have any aspirations to compete, but they still want to, get better and be able to have a benchmark of where they're at. So he made this workout that you could, it's achievable for anyone. But then obviously, 3 or 4 years later, he realized that, there is that 1% that he probably wants to try and test a bit more. And funny enough, more so probably in the CrossFit space too. So that's why he come up with the DEKA ATLAS, which is very much a strength-based workout, very CrossFit style workout. It's probably not a workout that, any Joe Blow that's going to a gym could complete. It's definitely something that you need to have some form of strength training in your repertoire, and it's more so of a goal setting thing. So someone that might do the DEKA Strong or a mile or a fit, then turn around and go, you know what, I'm going to spend the next 4 months, 6 months focusing on my strength training to give that DEKA ATLAS a go.
Did you do more of that type of training when you were going through the transformation? Because obviously you weren't doing any of these type of obstacle course racing.
Not during the
12 months.
Nah, not through the transformation. So the transformation was very sort of high heart rate type of workout. So very short, sharp,
like hits, like the hits, training high intensity, short.
Yeah, intervals but then Vince would mix it in. So you'd have normally I'd worked out literally 3 days a week. So Monday, Wednesday, and Friday were my workouts. None of the workouts went over 20, 25 minutes. But through that, I'd have 2 days where they'd be pretty high intensity, and then one day would be a strength-based day where it would be just like your typical bodybuilding bicep curls and bench press and all that sort of stuff. But
so why did you? If that type of training works so well for you, what made you, or do you still do that type of training?
So that's the type of training. It's funny. It's one of those. I enjoy the suffering. So I like to get into a workout that really tests probably more my will than my fitness. So getting into, we'd go and do a lot of, thank you, Svetlana. Thank you very much. So that type of workout for me is something that I really enjoy. And then that sort of lent it to what Spartan is. So obviously Spartans are more of an endurance type of a sport. So longer distance, it takes, it can take you up to an hour or sometimes an hour and a half to do some of these races. But there's still that strength component to it. So actually being able to lift yourself up a rope to do or get yourself over a 6 foot or 8 foot wall. There's a lot of functionality with it as well.
Yeah. Okay. So the training that DEKA and Spartan, they don't really guide the development of the athlete to achieve the events. They just host the events.
So what we do is we obviously host events, but that's where our affiliates, we really work with our affiliates to provide that training and that I guess breeding ground for maybe, and it's interesting. Our demographics are very much, we obviously have the younger generation that are right into it, but our big demographic is the 35 to sort of 50 plus age group. So those people that probably played, semi-professional sport or played sport at a high level, like AFL, rugby, netball, basketball, and then sort of got to the maybe, late 30s and decided to sort of give those away, but they're still going to the gym and training and exercising. But that competitiveness sort of dwindles away, and then they stumble upon they stumble upon, something like DEKA, and then they realize that, there's a world championship that's attached to it, and then they can start competing at a grassroots level, and then from there, they can go and train at any of our affiliates, and we obviously have DEKA training programs that come with that, and everything in between.
So who are your affiliates? Are they just any gym, any Snap Fitness could be an affiliate, Anytime Fitness, CrossFit boxes?
CrossFit boxes, the big corporate type of style of gyms, Anytime or Planet Fitness. But majority of our affiliates that we've got are sort of your mum and pop type gyms. So the owners are in the gym on the floor, they're running the events, and so a lot of independents, and ones that we've found that have sort of been around for a long time, and they're just looking for something that's adds something new to the offering that they already do. So it's one of those things, I guess, where we differ. It's not like a CrossFit affiliation where you pretty much just do CrossFit as your training base, and that's where it is. This one's just like an added on. We're a bolt on to your normal training. So for someone like a CrossFit gym, it's not like we're coming in and saying, hey, you now need to do all of our training methodology. We know that CrossFit has the best training methodology there is out there. So we're just here to add another level to that and be able to put
just
something
another challenge, so to speak. That just to keep it fun. I'm training to get my best time in the DEKA ATLAS. I'm going to use my CrossFit to maximize my chance of getting to the next stage or something like that.
Yeah, and that's the thing, and we see, especially with inside the gyms that do host the events, we're seeing like a lot of the numbers that we get are like participants that sign up for these events. It's like 70% aren't members of the gym. So there's a massive influx of new leads that are walking through the door of the gym when they're hosting these events. And what we find is that a lot of the participants might be training at a corporate gym, and it's a 24-hour gym. They're just going in there, they're doing their training. There's no real sort of community aspect to the gym environment they're in. Then they rock up into a DEKA affiliate. They go to one of the events, and then they see that there's this amazing community of like-minded people, and they end up saying, why am I paying the guys down the road a membership fee when I could be a member of this type of gym? So, and I'd say that's probably very similar to the CrossFit ecosystem as well, where I think a lot of people probably stumble into CrossFit and realize that it's more than just training. It is a community and it is a family. Yeah, exactly.
So that's interesting. How do you become? So if I said to our affiliate owner, this is pretty cool. How about we host a DEKA event? Do we then does that become a DEKA affiliate then?
So what happens is that we've got two ways that you can host events. You can sign up to the affiliate program. So you sign up as an affiliate, and then that gives you access to hosting the DEKA Mile, the DEKA Strong, and the DEKA Atlas at your gym. And we do a revenue share with the gym. So any ticket sales that come through from the events, the gym themselves take 60% of the ticket sales. We take 40%. So that's just our standard affiliation program. And then we have what we call a DEKA Roadshow. So for instance, you might say, I'm interested. I don't know if I want to be an affiliate yet, but I'd love to host one of the events in our gym. So we come and then run that event inside your gym as a bit of a try before you buy. And then we run the event. Obviously, it's the same event as if it was an affiliate event, except on the Monday after, you don't have to worry about packing up everything. We take everything away with us, and then we're on the road and on to the next one. But you guys might turn around and say, hey, that was awesome. The community absolutely loved it. We now want to sign up as an affiliate. So what we do is we end up that 60% that you would have got if you had been an affiliate, we end up taking that off the affiliate fee and get you signed up.
Okay. And then maybe the gym gets 10 new leads or something.
And that's it. And that's the whole point. Yeah. So we're seeing our stats show
then those guys don't go and do the next DEKA. They just go and do CrossFit.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, and I think it's interesting. We haven't had a CrossFit gym sign up yet.
Oh, really?
And
wow.
Yeah,
okay.
we're still yet to sign that first CrossFit gym up.
That's
so
surprising.
I'm guessing if anyone in this audience, and I think it was because it's when everyone saw just the strong and the mile and the fit. Because there was no barbell involved, I think the CrossFitters were like, "Oh, yeah, like I don't know if that's."
Well, that's exactly the same with the high rocks too. It's just like if I want to run, I'm just going to go run a 10K.
Yeah,
once a
exactly.
week. I don't need to throw some pissy little wall balls in there or something. But
you can feel how Declan, how Dave feels about high rocks.
Well, we did it. Anthony and I did the DEKA with no idea. Like Anthony said, this is what it is, and I don't know if you saw the video. We set it up exactly to the specs as best we could, apart from the little fractionals that we had to sticky tape to the.
I saw those. Yeah.
We weren't going to skimp. We weren't going to skimp that 1 point. The extra 2.5 kilos. That was not. That was not happening. I love it. So we taped that, but like it just felt like a CrossFit workout. It felt like a long domain CrossFit workout for me.
Yeah,
it did.
Some slightly new movement with the surrender lunge.
Yeah.
We don't normally do bear crawl. For us is a scaling movement for handstand walks. Okay, so when you do 10-meter handstand walks or something, if you can't do a handstand walk,
you do a bear crawl.
A bear crawl.
But not with 22.5 kilo dumbbells.
Not with the. That was tough.
That was tough.
And the thrusters, we do 1 million thrusters a month. That wasn't too bad. But it's just our daily consistency of doing CrossFit functional training, whole body, heavy, light, fast, slow, long domain, short domain, constantly varied. That seems to cut the mustard to be able to have the best opportunity to achieve your best, your personal best for any of those type of challenges that get thrown your way. And we've seen Tia Claire Toomey just like eat up the high rocks athletes, James Newbury, they just do sensational. They don't even train. That's not their specialized sport.
And I think that's the thing. I think it'll be interesting to see what Tia does after she obviously wraps up this year at the CrossFit Games.
She's got it in the bag. She's got it in the bag already.
It's it'll be interesting to see if she sort of does do that switch to high rocks and maybe take it a bit more of a serious sort of I think they're gearing themselves up to sort of obviously Proven's really big in that space now. They've sort of brought on James Kelly, who's like our sort of best high rocks athlete as one of their coaches and trainers and stuff like that. So it's obviously, and for us, it's great. It just grows. It grows the I guess the hybrid and fitness space down here for everyone. So we're obviously it's a big pie, and there's plenty of space for everyone to come along and
can an affiliate? I'm just thinking CrossFit boxes becoming. Can it just host a DEKA ATLAS, say, for example?
Yeah. So that's
not all the running stuff. The
strong and the mile, and exactly. So we have the DEKA Fit is an event that we run ourselves. So HQ, we run that event, but the strong and the mile are predominantly a gym run event, and then obviously the Atlas is a gym run event currently only, and it's up to the gym. So if they just want to be, so obviously for a CrossFit gym, if it's Atlas is all they want to be able to do, and then they want to put on 2 or 3 Atlas events every year and run into it, then that's great. And then there's obviously for us, it's a good way for people to get their taste, I guess, into the Spartan and DEKA world, and then hopefully they might come across and try the fit, the mile, or the strong.
Do it the next day. Yeah, and then get the trifecta in Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
Well, there's a there's a quadfecta, really, isn't there?
Well,
So
yeah.
there's
Well, funny you say that. We've got our next big event where we're hosting the DEKA Fit, which will be, it's called a trifecta weekend. So on the Saturday you do the DEKA Fit, and then on the Sunday you do the mile and the strong, and then everyone completes it, gets their what we call a DEKA trifecta and a weekend finisher. So July 26th and 27th down here in Victoria at Shepparton, we'll have that event going on, and it's a last chance qualifier for the world champs as well. So for the DEKA Fit, so we'll hopefully have a fair few of our fast hybrid style athletes come in and trying to qualify for that.
What are you thinking? Like, because obviously Dave is a very good athlete, and he did it in just over 20 minutes for the Atlas. I'm not as good, so I did it in 29:45. So I was pretty happy that I got under the 30 minutes. But what are you seeing?
Was that RX, Anthony? Did you do that RX? Did you do that?
Yeah, I did that RX.
As it is.
But the little fractionals fell off on the last leg of the 10-meter walk.
Like, so because the surgeon didn't bloody tape them up correctly. What does that say?
I used medical tape. I had to use medical tape, and it's not designed to hold dumbbells onto fractionals.
No,
but I let him pass. I did do it. Gave you that last rep. It was only like the last step, and it just plonked on the ground. But I thought it was quite funny.
Yeah, I didn't have to break the farmer's carry, might I say, Dave? Like someone.
It was strategic. That was strategic rests.
There you go.
You gotta pick it up again, though. You gotta pick it up again. That's the hard part. So, but yeah, so what are you seeing as the good times for?
Well, to be honest, there's some. I guess that there's those cyborg athletes that are out there in this space that are getting, like, I think the fastest time, just looking here now, is 9:53. So
9:53.
Yeah, so that's and to be honest, so that's Zachary Tate, who's out of Canada. So
is that viewable online? Is that on video?
I would say it would be. There'd be. I don't know if the whole workout's on video, but I'd say there would be some snippets of it. So if you
Zachary Tate, I'll look that up.
Yeah, check out. Yeah,
because
so
that leads me into this other inquiry. 9:53. We might get some of our sort of superhumans to give it a crack. But like in terms of the movement standards, when Zachary or anyone's doing this in your, who's confirming or affirming adequate movement standards?
So we have our affiliates that end up doing what we have, obviously a DEKA certification. So everyone goes through that to make sure that the standards are being met. We have, obviously, there's a bit of, I guess, faith in the gym owner and that they're gonna actually keep to the standards. And it's one of those things where, so that those times, someone could come along and if they wanted to, fudge them and say they got it a lot quicker and maybe didn't do the proper standards. But what we normally find out is when they do head to a world championship, they get found out pretty quickly, because that's where obviously they're on the big stage and there's a full reffing team that's there watching, making sure that the reps are on board.
So is that the second round or the preliminary round, or is there refs at the second? And how many rounds are there before you're crowned the champion?
So pretty much what it is you can compete. So say if there, for instance, there was 10 DEKA Atlas events at gyms across Australia this year, you could go and compete at each of those 10 events and get your better times as fast as you want. If your time, so currently the way that the DEKA is, and so for the Atlas, we haven't launched the actual world championship for Atlas yet. We're still just, because it's a new product, we're waiting for it to build up a bit more before we start crowning a world champion in that space. But with the other events, what happens is top 15 times at the end of the season. Our season runs from September to September. So on the 14th of September this year is our cutoff for the season. So anyone that's in that top 15 time space will get an invite to the World Champs. And then that'll be in Florida this year in December. So it's
and that's the one where you're scrutinized a lot more.
Yeah. So Yeah, so for instance, myself, I headed over to the World Champs last year, and then obviously a lot of the other region heads of obviously the sport.
As an athlete, or
no,
as
as a ref. So yeah, one of the head judges there. So and then obviously Dave Glaxton, who's the head of the refereeing for the whole of DEKA. So he's pretty strict. He sees what happens in all the other sports.
I mean, and I noticed, like in Ivory Rock, because I just did the DEKA mile, I noticed, like, I had one judge with me the entire time, and he was very clear on all of the standards. So he took me through the whole thing beforehand, showed me all the standards, and I did watch him keep the standards to all of the others. So it did seem pretty. It felt like a CrossFit Open kind of workout, where it was almost like you had that person right next to you, counting your reps as well as ensuring that you were doing them correctly.
Yeah, and that's how it works. So the way that the event runs in the gym is that every athlete that goes down through the 10 zone, there's a referee for them from start to finish, and they're keeping them accountable, making sure that they're keeping to the standards. But not only that, they're there to encourage them and actually help them through the event. We want them to be vocal and say, push a bit harder here, or pick it up. Don't drop those dumbbells down during the farmer's carry, like you did, Dave. But
thanks, thank you.
Yeah, but it's one of those things. It's we try to uphold the standards, like any legitimate sport. That there's obviously, we rely heavily on volunteers when it comes to that space. So there's always a few that sort of maybe don't call out the reps when they should or whatnot. But on a whole, we're pretty heavy on making sure that those standards are met.
That's cool. Awesome. There's no sort of video uploads. Say you want to set it up in your own Anytime Fitness and do it. Can you submit a video of your performance?
Nah.
They do that in the semi-finals of the CrossFit Games.
CrossFit, yeah. So no, all of ours are in-house. So you actually have to go to an event and be refereed. And that reason is that hopefully that when you're an affiliate owner, you want to be putting on the best event you can. So by making sure that the standards are met is high on the priority of the gym owner. And then obviously myself and a lot of our team as well, like Armando or Max or whoever it is, if there's a local event happening near them, we'll drop down into the event and say, hey, we're here for a couple of hours. We're happy to referee and make sure that those standards are being met. Obviously, every first event, myself or one of our team come to the first affiliate event that you host and walk you through it and hold your hand to make sure that it's all being done properly.
CrossFit boxes would be your easiest customers. You wouldn't have to, established CrossFit boxes have run 10 opens already. They're very particular about that.
It's definitely a space that I think lends itself to what we're doing. Like it's I know it. Like funny enough, when I was doing after the during the transformation challenge, I would go and train at a friend's CrossFit box from high school days. He reached out when he saw me doing the transformation and said, hey, if you ever want to come and do some CrossFit, come down. So CrossFit Calder down in Victoria, I'd go and do some workouts there with them. And like the space that you guys have a lot of the time in a CrossFit gym is the perfect venue for DEKA. Like it's you've got all the equipment that you need, and it's nice big open spaces, and it's
you just have waves of people going through. Put the fastest, who you think is the fastest athlete. At the front and see if the other guys can catch him.
Try.
But,
9:53 though, that's an incredible time. I think that's like a minute per station, less than a minute per station.
Yeah,
so
that's quite crazy. And to be honest, Zachary's he wouldn't even be like, I wouldn't consider him anything like a CrossFit athlete as well. He's very much a hybrid type of athlete. He does obviously DEKA, does all the fits, he does the strongs, the miles, goes and does high rock. So he's he's not your typical CrossFit type of athlete who probably I'd love to see
What are
an
you
actual...
doing, Dave?
Well, let's have a look. We've been talking about the DEKA ATLAS for a little while. Let's have a little brief overview of what it looks like for people.
We're going to talk to the DEKA guy.
Okay, what's his name?
His name's Declan.
Declan. Is that why it's called DEKA?
I don't
Good job, Declan, because your name's Declan.
Yeah.
Right, good morning, folks.
This is
We
our
are going to
affiliate
demo
where we train every day.
DEKA RX. Let's work our way through the circuit. Okay, Anthony is going to be our demo boy. 20 thrusters at 45 kilos. And then we've got the second movement. Okay, next move.
So that movement there, you can just jump over the bar any way you like.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter whether you, like, generally CrossFit's gone through an evolution where it's 2-foot takeoff, 2-foot landing, which is really quite challenging. And then it was very hard to judge, so they made it simpler and just said, look, you don't have to have a 2-foot takeoff landing, but you do have to have both feet in the air at the same time over the bar to just keep that intensity up. But you guys can just step over it. It's accessible to people who just want to step over it.
Over here.
That was the surrender lunge, wasn't it? Oh, hang on. Where's
surrender
lunge? DEKA. Let's work our way through the circuit. Okay, Anthony, 20 thrusters at 45 kilos. And then we've got the second movement. Okay, next movement over here.
So this surrender lunge, no, it's just skipped it. But that was a tricky one. I hadn't ever done that one before.
It's interesting. Yeah, so Yancey, that's a workout that Yancey wanted to bring into the Atlas workout. He said it was on the cards for trying to bring it into the DEKA, but strong and fit. But yeah, he ended up just going with a reverse lunge for that one. But it's a real tough exercise to do because it's just does not feel natural at all.
Yeah, both feet on the ground. You've got to use this sort of.
Did you have to do them alternating? Were you supposed to do them alternating, or did it matter? There wasn't.
So the movement is that it's just literally you have to do obviously 20. So you would probably have to go 10 each side. Like you would be sort of alternating across.
Yep.
And then we've got the old dumbbell snatch. Well, we call that a dumbbell snatch. You call it a ground to overhead, and we would try to change
midway.
Just keep going so you're not resting at the bottom. But is it a requirement to have the dumbbell sitting freely on the ground?
So it would be more so that it touches the ground. So as long as it hits the ground, then that's more than fine.
Okay. So we could have picked up an extra minute or two there.
You couldn't change in the air.
Are we allowed to change mid-air?
No, you have to bring it down and then you can change. Yeah. So
okay, the cycle time is much quicker if you change mid-air.
Yeah, do the mid-air. Yeah.
And then this one, that bear crawl. And then
there you are.
Farmer's carry. There's a farmer's carry.
Next station.
And
give 1 or 2 reps.
Shoulder to overheads any way you like. You can do that.
That was the worst. That was the worst part.
Yeah.
That took me 4 sets, 5 sets to do that. That was hard. that was right at my threshold. That weight.
Yeah, you don't normally use the 22.5s, Anthony.
Not for that movement. Not for that movement. So.
And then single unders as opposed to double unders. We hardly ever do single unders.
I think that's. I'd say that would be just because obviously it's easy enough for CrossFitters, but non-CrossFitters, the double unders probably people would be there and we get time capped. I reckon trying to get the double unders.
Yeah, it's 100. So 100 single unders, fair enough. A lot of people who start CrossFit haven't practiced double unders, and they spend 3 months doing double unders. And single unders, and then just work on it, and then eventually get them, and then they forget how to do single unders.
Yeah.
I think they did that at the CrossFit Games. Actually, they made the professionals do single unders.
Oh wow!
And that was one
they struggled with it. They all struggled with it.
And if you fumbled, you had to start again. I think it was 100 single unders, and it was a 4-time event. And if you fumbled on 99, you had to start at 0 again.
Oh, Jesus.
And actually, Tia missed the cut on that workout. Tia Clautini.
Yeah.
Missed the cut on that workout because of
there you go.
So, but Yeah.
The basics.
And then the old sandbag clean. And every 10 minutes you've got to dump it and re-clean it.
Yep. So do another deadlift with it. Yep.
Can you bear hug the bag, Declan, or does it
No,
have
it has to be an Atlas carry. So that sort of pays homage to, I guess, the Spartan roots, where in Spartan we've got an Atlas ball that we do carry, but it's on our stomachs. But this one you have to have on
30 minutes.
shoulder.
You want to get your score on the DEKA leaderboard? There is a DEKA leaderboard.
We're going to talk to the DEKA guy.
Okay, what's his name?
So you couldn't upload your score onto the DEKA leaderboad.
No, so for
like
it to be qualified, you'd need to do it in-house at a DEKA affiliate event or a DEKA roadshow event.
Yeah. And how much does it cost to do one of these events?
So for these events, so our DEKA our prices vary from $80 for a DEKA Strong up into $150 for the DEKA Fit. Our DEKA Mile are like a $90, and our DEKA Atlas sits around, I think it's about $95 for the Atlas.
Right. Right. Okay. Cool.
But you get
then,
you get the shirt, the
shirt,
medal, the workout,
so you get a T-shirt, a nice DEKA medal. Actually, I've got one of them here. I can show what they look like. I think obviously Anthony earned his DEKA Mile one at Ivory's Rock, but that's one of the medals that you get there. So
I want to get my DEKA Atlas one, Declan. I'm waiting
that's
for
it.
And you don't get a medal unless you do it under 30 minutes, right?
Nah, it's one of those things. As long as you show up and give it a crack, we give you the medal, but you just don't get your time. Obviously, doesn't get loaded up onto the leaderboard with you get time cap. So it's
so you get the medal.
No medal, Declan. No medal. If you don't do it, you don't get the medal.
It's one of those things we like we say we want to allow everyone to feel that experience of getting a medal around their neck. So but definitely it's one of those things where we do have obviously an affiliate down in Victoria hosting a DEKA Atlas coming up in October. So October, I think it was 4th. So for anyone that's down in Victoria or anyone that wants to come from interstate, Berwick Fitness Factory will be hosting the DEKA Atlas, which will be the first one here on Australian soil. So it's yes, I can confirm the judge we had was amazing. So professional, encouraging. Yeah. So the affiliate up there in Queensland, Michael from BioHealth Fitness, like the team that he had. So the two judges that he had on the day were two clients of his that have both gone and competed at DEKA, and they've done a couple of our events so far. And it's one of those things we see a lot of the refereeing coming from the community, so people that actually participate in the event and competitions, and so it makes it a lot more. We're not just having some guy that's just put their hand up and said, "Oh, I'll have a go at refereeing and seeing how it goes." It is coming within the community.
Yeah,
that's very cool. So, have you done the DEKA Atlas, Declan?
I haven't done the Atlas yet. It's something that's on my books. So I'll be able to give it a crack here at this affiliate event up in Berwick here in October. So that'll be my first time giving it a crack. But I funny enough, I haven't had a barbell in my hand for a while, so I might need to start getting my thrusters going again.
You know what? That was one of the hardest things, because obviously Dave didn't have the problem because he could just do 20 thrusters off the back. But having to put the barbell down nicely was like was so annoying, because it's like, you know what? I just want to drop it. Drop it. But I saw the rules, and the rules are you cannot drop any equipment, so it's all got to be.
Well, you've got to accommodate being in an Anytime Fitness shopping center or something, right?
Yeah, and I think it's also just a safety aspect for maybe a gym that isn't a CrossFit gym that maybe does these events and they're not used to barbells flying around from a height so high, and and so we just want to sort of make it a bit more safer for those type of events.
if we I think when I have some, because I know there's a few guys in the gym that are interested in doing it, and I'll have much satisfaction of no repping them if they drop the barbell. I'll drop the thing. Be like, no rep, you can't do that. You're not allowed to drop it. So
I reckon it'll be almost like Tia with the 100 single unders. You know, I think a lot of guys will probably, if they're so used to it, it's probably just
the clang and bang is why we love those barbell cycling workouts. Like when you've got the whole gym and you're all lined up, you know, a bit like that picture I showed before. You know, and everyone's just giving it their all, and you know the barbell's hitting the ground. It's just got this primal effect on your brain that just drives these hormones, these endogenous good hormones that just create health. You know.
Yeah, definitely.
But
so we're going to get you into CrossFit, Declan, to be able to train for this event.
Well, that's it. I might have to try and sign up our first CrossFit gym down here in Victoria, so I can start training for it, and then and get it happening. So if there's any Victorian CrossFit gyms that want to come
Declan out. He needs a local gym. There wouldn't be one far from you. Australia's littered.
We've got, I think in where I'm in, we've got about, I think there's maybe 2 or 3 CrossFit gyms in the area, and then as I said, CrossFit Calder, which is only sort of 15 or 20 k's down the road from me. So I could probably drop in and see those guys and get them to train me up.
Are you doing your own HIIT stuff now, or?
Yeah, so I do still a little bit of HIIT stuff. I do like to, obviously enjoy the endurance side of things as well. So getting out and hitting the trails and running and stuff like that. Funny enough, before getting into DEKA, I was doing powerlifting. So so I was doing a lot of that, and then ended up tearing my biceps. So I ended up having to obviously rehab that, and so I'm literally sort of picked up a barbell. As I said, not for a long time, but I was doing bench there. Maybe started back about 3 months ago. So slowly building the strength back up again. But so I'm looking forward to giving the Atlas a go. And because obviously strength was my strong point.
Yep. And that's the thing is, we kind of have this approach in the CrossFit methodology, or really good CrossFit athletes. You work on what you're bad at. Okay, so if you hate running, you work on your running. If you love your heavy barbells and your strength, well, you don't need to spend as much time on that, because you've already got that in the bag. You need to work on your gymnastics. And by that, work on that until your weakness becomes your strength, and then now go to your new weakness. And that's how you develop this global fitness ability to claim the title of the fittest on earth. Because you don't want to have a hole. You don't want to be shitty at running, and you don't want to be shitty at the barbell. You don't want to be shitty at doing pull-ups or muscle-ups and things. So that's in terms of health, I reflect that back to medicine and go, well, I don't want to. I want good eyes. I want good lungs. I want good liver, pancreas, bowel, kidneys. I don't want to have a fantastic set of lungs and a shitty set of kidneys. Like that doesn't make any sense, right? So it parlays into the general concept of what health is, which is, from a scientific point of view, is why I thought, well, this type of CrossFit training, because I used to do running. I was just a runner for many years, just did running. And I struggled to lift my garage door up. But then when I started doing CrossFit, I thought, suddenly they said, there's a running comp. Okay, I'll do a running comp. And then they said, let's go surfing, or let's go climbing, or let's, and you just you're okay at everything.
Just well-rounded.
Sensible. And that's what I liked about the Atlas side of it. But
it was good fun. I enjoyed Atlas. It was really good fun. It was a good challenge. I think probably I think probably about half of CrossFit athletes in the gym would be able to do it. I don't think I don't think everyone would be able to do it. Yeah, but I think because those weights are right at the RX weight, so the time.
I think anyone who does RX workouts, half the time.
Oh, could do that, absolutely.
Be able to do it. and get the name on the leaderboard.
Yeah.
So
well,
that's
it.
That's a challenge. That's out to all the CrossFitters. Let's get this event done. Let's take over DEKA.
That's it. Exactly
one more topic of discussion, Declan, if you're okay. You got time?
No, I've got time.
What time is it down there in Melbourne? Is it
8:15? So I think it's the same with you guys.
Same. Anthony, you said they're 1 hour behind.
No, I think that's
misinformation.
I think that's during the summer months. I think we end up being an hour behind or something.
Yeah. Oh, daylight saving. Yeah. So you mentioned that Spartan Joe DeCina bought Tough Mudder.
Yep.
So why do you think they go broke? Why did Tough Mudder go broke? There's a few other events. I think, personally, I think High Rocks has got a fairly limited time frame of that's my own personal opinion. It'll hang around for a little while, but then it'll start to dwindle as you saturate people. Oh yeah, I've done the High Rocks, I've done it twice. As it comes back around, does the global circuit, comes back to Brisbane, it's going to not get that sort of take up. That it doesn't make a good business model sense.
Yeah.
What's going on there?
So I think with obviously with Tough Mudder, to be honest, I'm not too sure of the ins and outs of why it ended up didn't work. But just from the outside looking in, I think there was they had I guess it's interesting because I think brand wise, Tough Mudder has a stronger presence than Spartan. So especially here in Australia, it's very much, if we were to ask 10 people, do you know what Spartan is? You'd probably get maybe 3 or 4 that go, yeah, I think I've heard of that. It's that crazy event where people run around and you have to do burpees and this and that. And then if you say, oh, have you heard of Tough Mudder? They're like, oh yeah, that's the one we get to run around in the mud and it's all fun and exciting. Yeah. So they had really good brand awareness, but I just think what was happening was the business model was not the right model for them. They just weren't, I think, they were putting money into the wrong areas rather than trying to, grow the business and having more events. That was it was sort of kept it, I guess, trying to find that balance between, because there's a competition element to Tough Mudder, and then there's just the corporate fun day out with your mates, get through it. It's a bit of a challenge, a group. And like you said earlier at the start of the interview, working as a team and getting through some hard stuff. Where I guess on the Spartan side of things it's more of a sport. So there's actually a competitive component to it. Plus there's the fun element of where you can just rock up and go through an open wave and have fun with your mates. I think that's that side of it is that's worked well up until this point. And then it was interesting when Tough Mudder did fold or came close to folding. It was literally I think it was the 11th hour that Joe ended up coming in and actually saving it from going under. And it was, and I think originally, I think Joe's reasoning to actually do it was, I just think he just didn't want to see his biggest rival, not be in the space anymore, because it used to be a really, really big and great rivalry between Spartan and Tough Mudder. I remember, Joe Tough Mudder would send one of the airplanes over each of the Spartan events and said, oh, if you really want to do a real obstacle course, come and do a Tough Mudder. And so there was a real good sort of rivalry between the two. And then I think Joe just said, well, and I think also for Joe it was a bit of a play of, well, these guys have a big audience, there's probably a big database of people that probably haven't done Spartan yet, so I'll be able to sort of tap into them, and that's where it's gone. But it's interesting, since Spartan's taken it over, it's revived it again. Joe's pumped a lot of obviously resources and time and money into it, and funny enough, Australia's actually, so Melbourne's got the world record for the most participants at a single event. So we've had. So we're obviously bringing it, and we're hosting it down in back in Melbourne for the first time since obviously COVID, and since it's been been off the books here down in Victoria. So early or late January, early February, we'll have a Tough Mudder event here in Melbourne, and then our next Tough Mudder event's actually coming up in September, so the 6th and 7th up in the Hunter Valley in New South Wales. So it's pretty exciting.
It's been there before. I think that was the first one I did up in. Yeah, that was the very first Tough Mudder I did. And I enjoyed that, and then I did a second one, just because there was a bit of a group of people at the Globe. This is before I started CrossFit, and I didn't really enjoy the second one, and I wouldn't even dream of doing a third one.
That's
the thing. Like I've done it twice. You know, it was fun with your mates, but I would not. You'd have to twist my arm, or I'd have to lose a bet or something.
Yeah, and I think sometimes that can be obviously, you know, where it is, and where our obviously client base is a very evergreen client base, so it's always, you know, first timers that have never done it, and they're looking for that challenge. Where Spartan's probably a little bit different, where it's probably like almost like CrossFit, where people they sort of find their tribe, and they find those crazy people that love to do hard stuff, and what we call it, do hard shit. So they end up traveling with the circus and doing the events all over Australia with it.
Yeah. Well, Joe, I saw something he said was that it took him 15 years to earn a profit. He started Spartan, and it wasn't until 15 years later that he started making money, and then he's obviously passionate and putting in work for nothing. He was still running his side business of pool maintenance or something.
I think he ended up off Wall Street. He was a broker on Wall Street, and ended up sort of eventually getting out of that and obviously started Spartan.
So it's a hard thing to sell, isn't it? You're selling something that makes you feel terrible at the time, but as we all know, when you finish your training session, everyone is just jacked and high and disinhibited and just social. It's just an incredible transformation of what the class is like before the workout compared to after the workout.
Yeah, and I think especially like, you know, after a world of COVID, that everyone was sort of got secluded from each other, and it's one of those things now where I think just us as humans, we crave that you know, community and you know, contact with other people. So it's being able to, you know, get out and do an event like Spartan or Tough Mudder or DEKA or CrossFit or High Rocks or any of them. I think we're lucky that we get to participate in these events now, because, you know, there was a while there where we weren't allowed to even step 5K.
Oh, down in Melbourne, you were stuck down there. Oh my God, under Captain Dan.
That's it. Yeah. So it was a crazy time. It's actually wild to even think that we went through it.
Yeah. This sort of leads into the idea that and CrossFit athletes are screaming out for professionalization, right? Professionalization of the sport. And I suppose that I sort of think, how would I try to resolve this issue as a businessman, as someone who is a participant, you know, consistently daily participating in the sport? It's almost like awareness, right, of the pool of people that want to be involved in functional fitness. There's only a certain number of people that would lean that way, and the only way of really doing that is to increase community awareness, and that means like the language we use when we talk about our sport. It's so dispersed, and I think that's a mistake from everyone in the space. Is that, you know, we've got Spartan, Tough Mudder, all the Bull Rush events, the High Rocks events, and CrossFit, and now World Fitness Project. You know, these are all these things that they're all tapping into this same group of people, but we're not using the same language, and therefore you're not actually expanding the pie. The pie is staying the same because it's only this. It's not enlarging the pie, and so therefore you can never take it to that next economy of scale of professionalizing, because that's really what professionalization means, that more people know about it, which means more money's in the economy. You know, I was at the CrossFit Games, right, the host city in Madison in Wisconsin, watching the 2018 CrossFit Games. I jumped in an Uber, and he goes, "Hey, what are you here for?" I said, "I'm here to watch the CrossFit Games." And he goes, "What's that?" He didn't know in his own town, and this was a fairly small town, Wisconsin, Madison.
Yeah.
And the massive this stadium, and they've got flags on the road and CrossFit games out welcoming. This taxi driver hadn't heard of the CrossFit games.
Yeah.
So that's bizarre, right? And there's no other sport like tennis, golf. Have you heard of tennis? Yeah, I've heard of tennis. You heard of golf? You heard of soccer? You heard of rugby? Of course they've heard it. That's why it's a professional sport.
Yeah,
and we can't professionalize the sport if we don't all start using similar language for what we're doing. We're doing Spartan CrossFit, or I'm doing CrossFit games, or I'm doing CrossFit Open, or I'm doing High Rocks versions of CrossFit. You got to pick a name, right? You got to pick a name and say this is what we're doing. Whether we call it functional training, that's the only way that we're going to actually make the pie larger with more people in it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So you've got but I think you've also got lots of different filters that come through. Like the person that will do Spartan is not necessarily going to be automatically a CrossFitter, but potentially they can filter into CrossFit through going, okay, you want to train for Spartan? Well, a good way to train for Spartan is to do a CrossFit, to go to a CrossFit gym. And then you start to do and then you go the other way as well, because the CrossFit athlete goes, I do the open, but I want to do more things. What else is there? Oh, there's a DEKA challenge. There's a Spartan race. There's a thing. So you kind of get this kind of cross pollination if you can build out. So instead of and that's operating symbiotically rather than being in a situation where you're thinking you're competing against each other.
No, we're not competing. We're all flavors. We're all flavors of the same thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Like we're all chocolate, say for example, but there's peppermint chocolate, there's hazelnut chocolate, there's dark chocolate, there's dairy chocolate. It's all chocolate, right? But everyone knows what chocolate is. But if we don't use that sort of promotional marketing analogy, and we don't use the word chocolate, no one knows anything about it.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
And it's interesting, like, because I know me and Anthony had a talk just the other day on a phone call, and like I think I brought that up in the sense that like we see obviously DEKA as almost like a stepping stone to either CrossFit or to High Rocks or to a Spartan or to a Tough Mudder. Like it's not the be all and end all. Like we don't want it just to be people just coming up just doing DEKA for the rest of their lives. Like we really want to see people that are getting up off the couch, they step onto a DEKA Strong competition floor and go, you know what? That's my first taste of ever doing a competition. It was great, and now I'm looking for the next thing, or the next challenge, which might be a DEKA Atlas, and then from DEKA Atlas they might go and say, you know what, that was great. I want to go and step in now to a CrossFit gym and do whatever's next.
That's what I'll train. That's what I'll do. That every day. I'll do a DEKA. I'll do a DEKA every day. Effectively, it might be a 5-minute DEKA. It might be a 10-minute DEKA. It might be a 50. But when I go to my next DEKA competition, I'm going to blitz it. I'm going to do really well because
and that's
of that consistency.
And that's where, and I think for us, obviously, being Spartan, the overarching, brand that we work with, and it's what keeps us all in employment is being under the Spartan banner. But like we work with, like for us, like we have relationships across all spectrums of gyms. Like it's not just one type of gym that can be a Spartan, training facility or a DEKA facility. It literally can be a 24-hour gym, or to a CrossFit gym, or a studio where it's just one guy who's got 20 or 30 clients that he's training, and literally he could be training up the next Spartan racer or the next DEKA athlete, or the next CrossFit CrossFit potential regionals or whatever opens that you guys
Matt
do
Fraser
these days.
Training in his basement. Matt Fraser training in his basement, and Ben Smith training in his garage in front of a fridge. He had about this much room between the barbell and his his clean and jerk.
Yeah, exactly.
Classic stories. All right, that's cool.
Dave Hippenstill as well. Dave Hippenstill. Did you follow him?
He's got rings over his staircase.
Yeah, his staircase. I saw
gymnastic rings.
the Andrew Hiller video that he went and did with him, and there you go. Like it's interesting, you know, that there's two people in the space that, you know, were at loggerheads with each other, and then they come together and, you know, squash the beef
together through sport, through the passion for the sport.
Exactly. And I think I think at the end of the day, it all comes down to, as long as your heart's in the right place, you know, that's all that matters. So, and I think that's the good thing, like you said earlier, Dave. Like we're all here for the same goal. We want to get
everyone to get a taste of it and get addicted to it, because I think it's a primal need of the human body to do hard things, and it's in our evolutionary biology to move functionally.
Definitely
with intensity. That's how we would have fed ourselves a million years ago. And
exactly.
Now most people in modern society go to bloody online Uber Eats. You know, no wonder we've got a litany of chronic disease that, as taxpayers, we're trying to, you know, bloody rescue them. Rescue them drowning in their own modern lifestyles. So it is a part of the health formula. It's what doctors should know. This should be taught in med school.
Oh, definitely.
It should be taught in med school, and you know, you can sort of jazz it up a bit scientifically, but it's really just moving biomechanically, professionally, and functionally. There's all clear definitions of that.
Yeah.
And you basically close hospitals down. Hospitals would shut down. They wouldn't have patients in them.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's crazy. And our biggest economic tax burden is for health. I think it's 20 cents in every dollar that we spend on tax goes to health.
Jesus.
Nuts, mate.
Yeah,
Nuts.
that is crazy. Mental. But we're making a difference, Dave. You're
That's
making a difference. Declan's making a difference.
We'll hopefully get some views, Declan. We'll hopefully get it. It takes a little while for the views to count up.
Yeah, I really appreciate.
Please share with all your socials. And so is there a DEKA ATLAS event planned for Queensland? That's the question.
So interesting enough, so we've got our centenary playgrounds at one of our affiliates up there in Queensland, out in Darra. And they're hosting they've just come on as an affiliate, so they're hosting their first DEKA Strong on the 2nd of August, and it's also going to be a DEKA Strong Ruck event as well, so people can come and chuck a ruck on their back and do the 10 zones with, I think it's about a 15 kilo plate that they'll have on their back, so it's a nice little test. But I know that Emma, who's the affiliate owner there out there, is Emma Teed, so is her name.
I know. Emma used to be my neighbour. Can you believe
really?
that?
There you go. So,
what's that called? How many points of separation? 6 points.
6 points, I think it is. Yeah.
She was my next door neighbour.
Wow.
6 degrees. She was my next door neighbour. So she's an affiliate.
She's an affiliate. So she's definitely got an Atlas on the card. So keep an eye out for that one, and I'll definitely make sure. But if there's any Queensland CrossFit gyms out there watching and they want to bring a DEKA ATLAS Roadshow event to it, we'd be more than happy to.
Okay, well, I'll talk to Anthony. I'll assign you to talk to our affiliate owner, and and see if we can beat Emma. We can beat Emma to the first DEKA athlete, the first CrossFit boxer. Well, Emma doesn't have a CrossFit box. She's got the obstacle course racing.
She's got the ninja type of gym. Yeah,
ninja thing.
Darra.
That we'll see if Joanne was interested in hosting at a DEKA Atlas.
Yeah, that would be awesome. But so
that's... and Declan, if you're in town, you got to hit us up. Come and I want you to do a session with us. Train.
I'll be actually. I'm up in Queensland. We've got our Woodfordia, so up in Woodford later in the year in October. I think it's October, like 12th or something. We've got a Spartan race up there. We'll have another DEKA event at that Spartan as well. So I'll make sure that I drop by
pop in. Anthony and I normally train it at the 5 p.m. session.
Oh, beautiful.
Come and say hi and do a workout. Bring you.
Definitely. Yeah, it would be great. Awesome. I'd absolutely love that. So, which will be good.
Have you got a set of grips?
No, I don't. I can see Redback there have some.
Yep, Redback is our sponsor. jump
great
onto their
grips.
website. They are the best. I've got a set. We do a event every month. We create a camp workout, and we open that workout up to anybody.
Oh yeah, I saw them actually on the video on the channel.
To do the workout, yeah, and they've got a video. We've got very strict movement standards, and if they win, they get a free set of grips from our sponsor.
Oh, awesome! That's great.
Matt Flesser from Redback, and they are great grips. Like I've had them all, the Victories, the Frogs, the Wildlifes. These are really good, and there's lots of good things about them. But yeah, jump online. I think they're on special at the moment for $70 as opposed to
perfect.
Yeah. The Frogs, the Frogs are 100, I think. So.
Yeah, 100.
Are the Frogs 90 now?
10.
Okay.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
That's
that's
great.
But get the Redback ones.
I'll give you listeners, if anyone does want to come and do a Spartan or a DEKA event. I've set up a what is the code? DEKA Camp 10. So anyone that wants to come and do a Spartan event can get 10% off the next race. So DEKA
Camp 10 is a discount code.
There you go.
Awesome. Thanks for that, Declan. That's awesome.
No worries at all. We'll hopefully see a few more CrossFitters out on the Spartan course or on the DEKA
if I'm not doing anything that weekend, I might pop out to Emma.
2nd of August.
That's a Saturday or Sunday or what?
I'm pretty sure it's the Saturday, the 2nd of August. So yeah, definitely.
That's the strong. That's the camp.
Strong.
That's the DEKA strong.
No running.
You gotta lug the sandbag around, and then you do 10 stations.
So you do, it's either you can do it without the ruck or you can do it with a ruck. So the both options are there.
If you do it, Dave, you need to have the ruck, and you probably need to have 30 kilos just to make it. Just to make it.
That's like a different RX or.
Yeah.
So it's exactly, just a Dave special.
Right. You get a different medal for that, like the one that says "sucked in" on it.
That's it.
Okay, Declan. I don't know. I've run out of questions for you, mate. Just so lovely to hear your story, and it was really touching. And that you're still in the space and passionate about it after that too.
Yeah, it's awesome. And I appreciate you obviously giving me the platform to come and chat with you guys. And as I said, I'm a big fan of what CrossFit does, and obviously it has a great community behind it. And we're all, as I said, trying to do the one thing of getting people moving and being healthy. So being able to get on here and talk about that, it's been great.
Yeah,
awesome, Declan.
Ripper Dipper. Have a good night, eh?
Awesome, guys. Thanks so much. No worries. Have a great night. Bye.
Okay. That was a fantastic chat with our Declan.
Yeah,
what a great guy! I really like him. I like his attitude. I like all aspects about what they're trying to achieve there. Getting more people involved in functional training.
Absolutely, solid guy, good guy. Like, so cool that he won that prize, and not only that prize, but it sent him into a different career path. What he does now, right? So because of that, so you see that kind of transformation in someone, and it absolutely changes every aspect of their life. So pretty cool, very cool.
It's got a couple of interesting little business model tweaks that are unique with the the affiliates and the 60-40% split, and
that's pretty good. That's not a bad split, because then they bring the equipment too. So if you don't have the equipment, they bring the what do you call them? The tanks, which is a very expensive piece of equipment.
Roadshow things, and then the mutual benefit that people attending your facility may just go, oh, this is pretty cool. I like this, and I live nearby. I think I'll do my further training here.
Yeah. I like it's a good carrot. It's a good carrot to bring in. So lots of upsides, I think, with connections with people like that. So we'll have to.
Mate, we have once again extended the podcast to crazy minutes, 1 hour and 38 minutes. I don't know how it goes so long. I said to Joey, we'll probably only go for an hour or so tonight. It'll, how much time can you spend talking about obstacle course racing and tough muddery type stuff? And wow, it always happens that way, doesn't it? I don't think we've done one under 1 hour 30.
No, we haven't. So you got good guests. They've got good stories. Everyone's got a story, man. So
well, thanks for finding him. And we didn't even get to ask him the challenge. The questions.
No, we didn't. We should have done that.
Yeah.
We've got to get that back. We've got to get that back for our next guest. So we'll have to.
But there's
so
many interesting things to talk about. There's too many interesting questions when you deep dive into it.
Absolutely. All right,
so,
man. You're sick, and you need to get better.
We'll work on our next podcast for 2 weeks' time. Wednesday, 2 weeks' time, 7 p.m.
Wednesday, 2 weeks, same time, same bat channel. We are going to look. I'm going to look at putting us out on other channels, not just YouTube, man. We need to. I listened to a podcast today called Hard Yarns podcast. I love it. It's just two guys just speaking
Teaches
shit.
you how to do it, or what?
No, just speaking shit, like of all sorts of things. Like nothing's off limits in their conversation. But literally, when they started, they had 10 views the first time.
Wow.
And now they've got thousands and thousands and thousands of people that like subscribe to them.
That's okay.
And that was like 3 years ago. So
it
can happen, man.
But we're getting a lot. I get a lot out of this, regardless of how many people tune in. For
sure.
It's just really cool.
You know what we could do? We could do the DEKA ATLAS as one of the crazy ass monthly workouts.
Bit hard to set up for people though.
No, but we could scale it down. We could scale it down. We could scale it down a little bit.
Then you haven't got the leaderboard to go to look at. We'll have to ask Declan how to log into that leaderboard to see what the 9 minutes. I've written that down. 9 minutes.
That's crazy.
But I'm going to look that guy up. I'm going to look Zachary Tate up, and I want to see that that's legit if I can. Like
that seems crazy. To be able to do a station every minute.
A minute. That's a minute. A station,
including the bar, including that bloody bear crawl.
Yes.
Like I don't know.
I'm going to look that up. I don't. That's. We'll check it out. Sorry, Zachary, if you're listening. We're just skeptical.
We're going to go Andrew Hiller on your ass. So don't worry.
Yeah. Okay, and we're going to get Bailey Martin on the show next fortnight.
Yeah, that's the plan. We're going to get Bailey. We're going to get him to talk about his wonderful nutritional diet.
maybe Rich Froning.
Yeah, get Rich.
Andrew
you
Hiller.
know Rich, don't you, Dave? You know Rich.
Yeah, and Rich sent me a birthday message.
All right, so you're in personal.
50.
Yeah, you're in personal things with him. Should be able to get him.
Yeah, one of the guys that I could get on from the Savan show is the Jenny from the Dense Updates.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she said she would come on the show.
That would be cool. That would be
cool.
Do you
want me to ask her? Well,
we can get
we've got and we've got a new segment of. I haven't told you this. Have I told you this? I thought we would do some short segment interviews. Like, you know how this has gone for an hour and a half?
Yes.
We could do multiple short interviews, just short little stories of people's...
Around the grounds kind of thing.
Yeah, around the grounds. It doesn't have to be from our affiliate, but if we just find an interesting story from somewhere, get in contact with them. 10 minutes, tell us your story, move on. Let's have another story. That'd be like little chapters.
Yeah. I like that.
That would be cool for us to as hosts to keep it on point with the really juicy bits of their story.
Yes, I think so.
Yeah.
That's good.
Okay, we'll do that.
All right, man.
Ciao.
Get well. See you, mate.
Bye. Thanks, mate. Thank you.
Bye.